In the labyrinthine world of high-stakes justice and celebrity downfall, few stories have gripped the public psyche quite like that of Sean Diddy Combs, the once unassailable titan of hip-hop whose empire of beats and bravado now echoes with the somber toll of accountability. Sentenced to a term that balances retribution with redemption, Combs finds himself navigating the stark corridors of the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, a far cry from the velvet-roped enclaves of his former life. At 55, the architect behind anthems like "Shake Ya Tail Feather" confronts a future measured in months rather than milestones, with an official release date etched into the annals of the Federal Bureau of Prisons, May 8, 2028. This projection, emerging mere weeks after his October 3 sentencing, serves as both a horizon of hope and a stark reminder of the consequences that ripple from unchecked power. The sentencing hearing itself was a pivotal tableau, a courtroom drama where the scales of justice tipped deliberately under the watchful eye of Judge Arun Subramanian. Combs, having been acquitted of the gravest indictments, sex trafficking and racketeering, still bore the weight of 2 convictions for transportation to engage in prostitution, tied inexorably to his past relationships with Cassie Ventura and a woman known in proceedings as Jane. The judge, in a measured discourse that dissected the prosecution's call for 135 months against the defense's plea for a mere 14, settled on 50 months, a span that encompasses the year Combs has already endured in custody since his September 2024 arrest. Subramanian's rationale cut to the core. While the harsher penalty might exceed necessity, leniency would fail to honor the imperative of deterrence. A substantial sentence must be given to serve as an example to abusers and victims alike, he intoned, his words a clarion call echoing through the chambers and beyond, underscoring the societal imperative to confront cycles of violence head-on. Combs' legal vanguard, led by the formidable Tenny Garagos, wasted no time in framing the verdict through a lens of vindication. Mere moments after the gavel fell, she addressed the press with unflinching resolve. The jury made it very clear in their verdict that they acquitted him of the sex trafficking and the RICO counts. Not guilty means not guilty. Garagos painted a portrait of transformation, born from the crucible of trial preparation. Hours upon hours where Combs laid bare his vulnerabilities, emerging not as the untouchable mogul but as a man reshaped by reflection. "I can say from the bottom of my heart that he is a changed man," she affirmed, her voice a bridge between the courtroom's cold finality and the possibility of renewal. Echoing this sentiment was Alexandra Shapiro, the appellate architect steering Combs' challenge to the sentence. She decried the ruling as totally inconsistent with the jury verdict, likening the judge's discretion to that of a 13th juror, swayed by elements the panel had explicitly rejected. The sentence was driven by the conduct the jury rejected, Shapiro contended, her argument a bulwark against what she perceived as overreach. Yet, amid the legal parrying, it was Combs' own voice, raw, remorseful and resonant, that pierced the armor of formality. For the first time in the proceedings, he rose to address the court, his words a confessional torrent directed toward Ventura and Jane. "Domestic violence will always be a heavy burden that I will have to forever carry," he began, his tone stripped of artifice. He dissected his past with unflinching candor. "My actions were disgusting, shameful and sick. I was sick from the drugs, I was out of control, I needed help and I didn't get the help. I cannot make no excuse." This admission cascaded into a broader reckoning, where Combs grappled with the cascading losses that shadowed his fall, the erosion of freedom, the estrangement from his children and aging mother, the collapse of business empires painstakingly built over decades. "I lost all of my businesses and lost my career and destroyed my reputation and, most of all, I lost my self-respect," he lamented, his vulnerability a stark counterpoint to the indomitable persona that once commanded stages and boardrooms. "I have been humbled and broken to my core. I hate myself right now. I've been stripped down to nothing." In this moment, the man behind the music transcended archetype, becoming a human mosaic of regret and resolve, his narrative a cautionary epic for those who wield influence without introspection. The prelude to this sentencing was a saga of judicial maneuvering and moral reckoning. In July, Subramanian had rebuffed Combs' bond request, citing a years-long pattern of violence that demanded preemptive containment. The trial, spanning 29 grueling days and summoning 34 witnesses, had peeled back layers of Combs' world, revealing a nexus of power dynamics that prosecutors branded a criminal enterprise. Cassie Ventura, whose 2023 civil suit ignited the federal probe, emerged as a lodestar of courage. Her attorney, Douglas Wigdor, lauded her in a statement that resonated like a manifesto. Although the jury did not find Combs guilty of sex trafficking Cassie beyond a reasonable doubt, she paved the way for a jury to find him guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution. Wigdor extolled Ventura's fortitude, noting how her testimony illuminated the realities of powerful men in our orbit and the misconduct that has persisted for decades without repercussion. He vowed an unrelenting crusade. This case proved that change is long overdue, and we will continue to fight on behalf of survivors. The jury's deliberations, fraught with deadlock on the racketeering charge, culminated in a verdict that cleaved the charges asunder: acquittals on the triad of conspiracy and trafficking, convictions on the prostitution transports. Eyewitness accounts from the courtroom captured Combs' visceral reaction. Dropping to his knees in a posture of fervent prayer, head bowed as his family erupted in supportive applause. Attorneys embraced in a huddle of relief, the air thick with the catharsis of partial exoneration. Prosecutor Christy Slavic's closing, a marathon of eloquence lasting nearly 5 hours, had woven a damning tapestry. He used power, violence, and fear to get what he wanted. She evoked the 2016 assault on Ventura and the 2024 incident with Jane as chapters in the same book, indicting a methodical pattern of violence, coercion, and manipulation. Slavic dismantled the myth of invincibility. He thought that his fame, wealth, and power put him above the law. As Combs marks time toward 2028, his story lingers as a multifaceted parable, of hubris humbled, of justice's imperfect pursuit, and of the redemptive arcs that may yet unfold. The release date, pragmatic and precise, anchors this narrative in reality, a distant dawn that invites contemplation on forgiveness, reform, and the enduring scars of power's abuse. In the quiet cells of Brooklyn, Combs confronts not just bars of iron but the ironies of legacy, where the beats that once unified millions now underscore a solitary symphony of atonement.